Real estate investing has changed forever because now, with the rise in popularity of creative strategies, you and everybody else can buy real estate without any cash, with none of this, and even with terrible credit. How is this even possible to buy a house like this? How is this possible? It's because you're beating the banks at their own game. You're playing the game of creative financing. Strategies like subject to and even seller financing, you can find them everywhere on the internet. And don't get me wrong, I absolutely love these guys, especially Pace. What's up, Pace?
Maximilian.
But the thing is, yes, you can buy homes without cash, without credit. You can buy homes with no credentials. You could be 18 years old and living in your mom's basement. But the thing is, a lot of these gurus teach you how to buy, but they don't teach you if you should buy. So in today's video, I'm going to show you how you can know if a creative finance deal is a good deal or a bad deal using a simple framework that I created called the 5-5-10-10 rule. Now you may have seen my video right here. John, put it up right here. I made this video last year about the 5-10-12 rule. And in that video, I said you should look for a subject to or seller finance deal with an interest rate under 5%, with an entry fee under 10%, and with a cash on cash return above 12%. And although that rule works and it is one of my most viewed videos, I have completely redefined the rule. But not just that, after looking at the data, looking at the economy, looking at the real estate market, and looking at the risks of creative finance, I have changed the rule. And now I believe you should comp and evaluate all of your creative finance deals using the simple rule I created, the 5-5-10-10 rule. Let me show you how in less than 60 seconds you can look at any deal and know if it is a good deal or a bad deal. I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you do, please subscribe to my YouTube channel. And if you want to learn how to wholesale real estate, join the Wholesalers, my free real estate wholesaling community. The link is in the description down below. Okay, let's do this. I'm so excited. So today we're going to be evaluating what I created, the 5-5-10-10 rule. And where did I come up with this rule? Well, a lot of the framework came directly from watching hundreds of Pace Morby's videos. This is a very similar framework that he uses, just a little bit tweaked to fit the average investor. But before we even talk about that, guys, there's one thing we have to talk about. What is subject to? What is seller financing? Max, what are you even talking about? Guys, there's hundreds of videos on this. I could explain it for hours, but really simply, subject to just means that we're taking over someone else's mortgage. We're taking over their debt. You can go and get your own debt from the bank to buy a house, because most people don't buy homes cash. Most people get a loan from the bank, or just go to a house and say, hey, seller, can I just have your debt? Can I just make the payments on your behalf? That way you don't have to go and apply to get a new loan. And that way you can take over the seller's debt that most likely has a low rate mortgage. And then the alternative is seller financing, where you create debt with the seller. You say, hey, seller, your house is $1 million, but can I pay you $10,000 a month for the next 8-ish years? Instead of giving you the $1 million now, I'll give it to you just over time in installment payments, essentially paying a mortgage to the seller. These are the fundamental creative strategies. So let me show you how the rule works with both of these strategies, not just subject to and not just seller finance. It works for both of them. So the first 5 means that we're looking for an interest rate under 5%. I kept that from the original rule. As I said earlier, like 80% of all homes in America have an interest rate under 5%. So we want to look for deals that have a 2, 3, 4% interest rate. I don't want to take over someone else's debt that's like 6, 7, 8%. I don't want to create debt with a seller that's 8, 9, 10%. No, I want to have an interest rate very, very low. If I'm doing seller financing, I actually like to do principal only, meaning I pay 0% in interest. And yes, you can find those deals. They are possible. But if you found a deal, guys, if you found a deal that's a 2% interest rate deal, a 0% interest rate deal, does that automatically mean it's a good deal? No. Please understand that. No, it needs to also pass these other 3 rules. A deal also needs to have a cash on cash return greater than 5%. Cash on cash return? Why'd you write cock on the screen? Max, what are you talking about? I'll show you guys in a second, but just understand, guys, this is your returns. A deal needs to return you at least 5%. Next, a deal should have less than a 10% entry fee. And simply put, guys, the entry fee is the amount of cash that you have to bring to the table to buy a property. Yes, oftentimes you're going to need to bring some amount of cash to the table. There's ways to buy real estate with no money, but you probably, just to be safe, are going to want some money, or you're going to have to get a JV partner or a lender in second position to give you that money. So oftentimes you are going to come in with a little bit of money, and you want to make sure that it's less than 10%. Now, the last thing, y'all, and this is a new addition to the rule for me, because I think this is so important. People are overlooking it. You want to deal with at least 10% instant equity. And this is the 5-5-10-10 rule. Now I'm going to break down this rule and show you how to calculate it. Then we're going to put it to the test on some actual deals. And by the end of this video, you'll be able to know in 60 seconds or less, that is my guarantee to you, using the 5-5-10-10 rule, if a deal is a good deal or bad deal in less than 60 seconds. Okay, this is exciting. So my old rule was the 5-10-12 rule. It was very similar to this, except a couple things have changed. I've added in instant equity. What does that even mean, instant equity? When you buy a property, are you buying it at fair market value, or are you buying it below fair market value and you're getting instant equity? Or are you actually overpaying for the house? You might be thinking,
what kind of real estate investor overpays for real estate? That's stupid, Max.
Well, you would be surprised. A lot of creative investors actually overpay for a house to get a really low mortgage rate or a really low seller financing rate. And yes, you can do that. And Pace Morby does that all the time. But please be careful, because if you overpay for a property, you may still get a great deal as if you get 0, 1, 2, 3, 4% interest, but that's only over the long term. If in the next 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 years you want to sell that house, or you just have to sell it, something happens, you would have bought it too high, so that now when you sell it, you're going to lose money. So I think it's really important, as creative investors, we should still buy properties with instant equity, especially if you want to do unique disposition strategies like wraps and lease options. You're probably like, Max, what are you talking about? It's okay. I'm not getting too complicated in this video. This video is for beginners. But just know, don't overpay for a house. We want to usually buy a house at 90% of fair market value, having 10% instant equity.
And why 10%? What's this? Did you just pull that number out of your ass, Max?
No, because on average, when you sell a house, it costs roughly 10%. When I find a house, and if I want to sell this house I'm in right now, after paying agent fees, closing costs, and buyer concessions, it usually costs like 10%. So this $500,000 house, I would probably get $450,000 after selling it. So that's why we want a 10% cushion. So in case we want to sell the house, or we need to sell the house, we have to liquidate, we won't lose money.
I hate losing money
investing in real estate. So that's why I added the 10% instant equity to my rule. Now, the other two things stayed the same. We're looking for deals with less than a 5% interest rate, and we're trying to find deals with less than 5% entry fee. And I'll explain entry fee here in a second. I'll show you how to calculate it. But one thing I changed is I dropped cash on cash return from 12% to something more realistic, 5%. To be completely honest, I think if you find an investment property that produces 5% returns before appreciation, meaning you make 5% returns on your money and then you get appreciation on top of that, so you're probably getting close to 10%, that is a great investment because you haven't even added in depreciation. That beats the stock market every single day of the week. So to be honest, although 12% cash on cash return is possible, you need to probably be doing pad splits or Airbnbs or traveling nurse housing. So as a long-term rental, we want our properties to produce 5% cash on cash return. I think that's very, very fair for today's market. So with all that being said, let me show you how to calculate some creative finance deals and know if they're a good subject to deal or a bad seller finance deal using the 5-5-10-10 rule. Let's pull some real examples and do the math together right now. All right, y'all, let's check out Pace Morby's public Facebook group. Facebook is one of the best places to find real estate investments. Believe it or not, I know that was crazy to me, but that's just where you network and find deals. And the best place to find creative finance deals is with Pace Morby and his sub 2 community. So we're in the public Facebook group right now, and I want to review some deals that people are posting. Okay, here we go. And I'm doing this like completely real. Like I haven't looked at these deals before. This is the first time I'm seeing them. I'm doing this in real time to show you how effective the 5-5-10-10 rule really is. So Brandon sent a deal in, and the first thing we want to do, y'all, is look at the purchase price. Okay, the purchase price is $292,000. The next thing I want to do is look at the interest rate. You want to look at the interest rate. Remember, there's steps to our deals, guys. We want to look at the interest rate first. And is the interest rate under 5%? Well, the interest rate is 3.5%. That's excellent. That's great. Now, the next thing we want to do is calculate the entry fee. Don't worry about the cash on cash return for right now. Let's calculate the entry fee. And in order to calculate the entry fee, we want to look at what the purchase price is. We want to subtract the mortgage, and then we want to add in any other expenses. Let's say an assignment fee to the wholesaler. Maybe you have to pay closing costs. Maybe you'll need to repair the property, or maybe you'll even need to pay an agent. I don't know, guys. There could be extra costs. So we can see that the total purchase price, like we said, was $292,000. The mortgage balance is $259,000. That means that the seller has about $30,000 in equity that we'll have to pay them cash. But the thing is, this deal actually gets a little tricky. So this is going to be a little high level, guys. So try to stick with me here. They actually have a second mortgage on the property. So that $30,000 in equity, they don't actually have it. These people, I feel so bad for them. They made a big financial mistake. They got a solar panel lien for $22,000. So their $30,000 in equity, gone. Now they're left with only about $10,000. And you might be thinking, Max, aren't those solar panels worth money though? No. Solar panels are worth zero. Never buy solar panels, y'all. Now, those solar panels have a 1.98% interest, so you can do one of two things. You can either take over the solar panel loans, like subject to the solar panel loans, or you can pay them off cash. In this case, let's just assume we're taking over the solar panel loans. So all in all, guys, we're left with an entry fee of only $11,000 plus closing costs plus transaction coordinator. So let's just say $15,000. $15,000 good or bad? Well, guys, the purchase price was around $300,000. So a $15,000 out-of-pocket expense, $15,000, y'all. That means that the entry fee is only 5%, which is great. So right now we have a subject to deal with a good interest rate and a good entry fee. So the next couple things that we want to look at, guys, there's two more things. Is this a good deal? The answer is I don't know yet. If you said yes or if you said no, you're both wrong because I don't know yet. We need to look at the cash on cash return, and we also, most importantly, y'all, we need to know what the value of this house really is, because the value of this house, if it's only $250,000 and we're paying $300,000, I don't care what the rate is. Like, unless the rate is 0%, like, guys, I'm overpaying for the house too much. Or if it like only rents for like, I don't know, like $1,000 and I'm losing money every single month, like, I don't want this deal, right? So there's a few more things we have to look at. So let's look at that now. Well, the mortgage payment, as well as the taxes and the insurance, is about $1,700 per month. And let me tell you something, once you buy the house, the taxes are probably going to reassess higher. So you're going to be probably paying a lot more, really depending on the state, but you're probably going to be paying more than $1,700. And then you have to pay $100 a month in solar panels. So let's just say the total is going to be close to $2,000, especially when you guys factor in maintenance, repairs, vacancies. Like it's going to be at least $2,000 a month. Well, guys, the thing is that it only rents for $1,500. So you're losing $500 per month. You're losing $6,000 a year buying this house. So your cash on cash return is negative. Let me show you how to calculate that. So we know how to calculate the interest rate. I explained to you how to calculate the entry fee. And if you're still confused on how to calculate the entry fee, I have a full video breakdown right here. Click it, but after you watch this video, it's right here. John, put that up for them. But the thing is, how do we calculate the cash on cash return? What you're going to do is you're going to take the long-term rent. And as we stated earlier in this video, always underwrite your deals using long-term rent, using a 12-month lease. Don't underwrite your deals using Airbnb and pad split. None of that. No, always underwrite as an LTR. You're going to take the long-term rent. You're going to subtract the PITI minus, I would say, at least maybe 15%. What the heck are you talking about? 15%? Guys, this is for the maintenance. This is for, I don't know. This could be for the capital expenditures, like the roof going out, your plumbing, your HVAC. I just had to replace the plumbing in my house. It cost me $20,000. I had to pay cash. If you weren't budgeting for that, you would be you would be losing money. Don't lose money. Always budget. Vacancy, your houses, they're not always going to be rented. And then if you guys need to get a property management company, you better budget 25%, not 15. So anyways, guys, so that's more or less how you would calculate that. So that you subtract all of that, and then, guys, that should give you your cash flow. And in this case, guys, we calculated the deal as having really terrible, a negative $500 cash flow. I don't even know why I'm putting that in green. That's criminal to put in green. Then you're going to multiply that by 12 because you're going to annualize it, right? We're going to do yearly. You're going to take that, which was 6,000, and you're going to divide that by what? Your entry fee. This is how much money is your money making you, or in this case, how much money is your money losing you. So for example, let's take one of my student housing rentals. I have houses and I rent them out to students. Each bedroom brings in about $1,000 a month. So I have about 6 bedrooms in a house. That's $6,000 per month. And my PITI is about $2,000. Let's budget, I don't know, $500 for, maintenance, expenses, capital expenditure, all that fancy stuff. So I'm bringing in around $3,500 per month in cash flow on one property. Multiply that by 12. Quick math, that's I think $42,000 a year. But that's just how much money I'm making. How much money did I spend to make that much money? Because if I spent $1 million to make $35,000 a year, that's not a good deal. So how much did I spend? Let's just say I spent, I don't know, $420,000, 420. What's up? Then I would have a 10% cash on cash return, taking 42,000, dividing it by 420,000. So in this case, y'all, we're going to take $6,000, actually negative 6,000, and we're going to divide it by the entry fee. And we said the entry fee on this deal was $15,000. So doing that math in my head and not using a calculator on my phone, we get a total of negative 6, 1, 2, 3 divided by 15, 1, 2, 3. Oh my God, guys, this is some of the most disgusting numbers I've ever seen. Gross. This is actually so disgusting. It's so bad. John, make sure you mute my because I'm just so mad right now. Negative 40% cash on cash return. It's so bad. Anyways, we spent 15 grand to lose 6 grand a month. What the hell? Flipping back over to this deal, there's just something that just doesn't sit right with me about it. It seems like it's just so bad. It's just frankly so bad. So I don't know if his rent is low. I don't know if his PITI is high, or I don't know if it's just frankly a terrible deal, but this is some of the worst cash on cash return I've ever seen for a deal that has a 3.5% interest rate. So y'all, we calculated the interest rate. We calculated the entry fee. Now we calculated cash on cash return. We had good, terrible, and now the last thing we have to do is calculate the instant equity. So in order to calculate the instant equity, we got to figure out what the fair market value of this house is. And in order to do that, we have to comp the property. Now, comping real estate will take you years and years to master. It's an art, and I have tons of videos on it, and I will teach you how to comp real estate for free if you join my free community, the Wholesalers. But real quickly, I'll comp this property. Well, it's gonna be a little hard to comp when I don't have an address. But if you did want to comp it, go over to my favorite website, Propelio. Guys, this is the #1 comping software in my honest opinion, and I'm not paid to say this. I do have an affiliate code though, so sign up with it, and I think I get like $3 a month. Woohoo! Starbucks coffee. Put the address in here. Well, since I don't have an address, I'm just gonna pull a lead from my Discord. So in my Discord, people send me leads, and my team will comp them. We'll comp all of your deals. So we're just gonna take a random deal that someone sent me. We'll take this one, and here Nikki is comping the deal for the person, which is so cool. They actually negotiate $130,000 on this deal. They think that the after repair value, the potential value of the house is $255,000, and they think repairs is around $30,000. Anyways, just want to show you. So now we're going to plug this address into Propelio, and you usually want to comp 2 different ways, y'all. You want to comp for the potential value of the property if it's a property that needs work and needs to be fixed up. And you also want to comp for the as-is value, the fair market value. We're more focused on fair market value in creative finance because we want to buy deals at under 10% of fair market value. So again, if fair market value is $300,000, then we want to be buying it at $270,000. I'll tell you right now, this house needs more than $30,000 of work. This house is ugly. This house is not like that. What the hell is that? What is that? Anyways, flip on over to comparable sales. Now, this house is a 3-bedroom, 2-bath, about 1,000 square feet, built in 1958 on 0.1 acres. So what you're gonna wanna do is look for single family homes just like that in the same subdivision, in the same proximity. Don't cross any major roads, y'all. Same area. And then you just wanna see what similar houses have sold for. So a really nice fixed up house sold for $230,000. So we know the potential value is around $230,000, but the as is value in this condition, let's try to find a similar house in this condition that's sold. Okay, here's a really similar house. This one's probably in a little bit worse condition, but sold for $100,000. So if ours is worth, let's say $130,000, then we shouldn't be paying more than, let's say $120,000, at least 10% less. $120,000 would give us a good comfort zone. If you can get it for $110,000, $100,000, $90,000, $80,000, that's great. You're building a lot of instant equity. And one thing I love is with equity comes options. Now you can decide, I don't want this house anymore. Just flip it. There's so many great options. So anyways, going back to our deal, unfortunately, we weren't able to exactly comp it because we didn't have the address. We know the entry fee is great, but guys, just that alone does not make a good deal. And I hope this example was proof of that. Just because a deal has a $11K entry fee and a 3.5% mortgage, that doesn't make it a good deal, because guess what? This deal is not a good deal. And you know how I know? Look, no one's even commenting. No one's even interested. And yo, Brandon, I mean, oh well, like, dude, I love you, bro. Here, I'm not here crapping on deal. Like, congratulations for finding this. I hope you sell it. It's the right deal for somebody. But for an investor, this is not a good deal. This is just not a good deal for an investor. And I assume that it's also doesn't have any instant equity. And I would assume he's probably overpaying for this house. This house is probably worth closer, in my opinion, probably like 260, 270, just guessing. So you're probably overpaying 10%. You're losing money every month, but hey, you got a good rate and a good entry fee. That doesn't matter. That is why you have to use the 5-5-10-10 rule, and that's why I created it. So now that you know how to calculate it, let's do the exact same thing with a seller finance deal real quickly, because then I have to bounce. I have to get to the gym. I got to get my gains, y'all. I got to get my gains. Know what I mean? Know what I mean? Nah, you probably don't. Just kidding. I'm sure you're buff as hell. I needed some water. This video is intense. Now let's try to find a deal where you're creating a loan with the seller, where the seller is offering to finance his house every single month. Give me a second while I look through this. John, speed up this section of the video. Okay, I found one. What's up, Brian Cedino? Thanks for the deal, bro. He says he has a seller finance deal, y'all, at 1.7% interest rate. It cash flows, meaning it has a positive cash on cash return, and it's in Alabama. So what's the first thing we do, y'all? We look at the purchase price. It's $485,000. Is that cheap or expensive? Well, we'll have to comp the property here in a little bit. Before we look at the entry fee, y'all, we want to look at the interest rate. Incredible interest rate. Now we want to look at the entry fee. The entry fee is $45,500 plus closing costs and TC. So that makes it about 10% of the purchase price, which is great. So we have it Check on the interest rate test. Check on the entry fee test. Now, what about the cash on cash return test? Is it over 5%? Well, he doesn't give us all the information, unfortunately, so we can quickly do the math ourselves. Let's open up an amortization calculator, guys. This is how you calculate a mortgage. And here we're going to put the amount that we're going to finance from the seller, $446,500. It's going to be amortized over 30 years. We're going to make those payments at 1.7% interest, which means our monthly payment to the seller is $1,600. So let's just assume all in we're around $2,000. Now, what's our rent? He didn't say. He says that an short-term rental is doing $55,000 a year, 30%. Big cock. No! Do not underwrite your deals as short-term rentals. Don't do that. Brian, bro, what are you doing, Brian? Always underwrite your deals as long-term rentals, because when Airbnb goes bust in Gulf Shores, Bama, the only thing you can do with your property is sell it or turn it into a long-term rental. And if you're not underwriting your deals as long-term rentals, y'all are gonna be so I hate that. And that's why he only got 2 comments and 2 likes. If I could dislike this, I would. Sorry, Brian. But anyways, let's just assume the property rents for $2,200, just so we can do some math here. If the property were to rent for $2,200 and our PITI plus all of our expenses is $2,000, that means we would cash flow $200 per month. If we annualize that, y'all, well, don't divide it, annualize it, multiply it, that's equal to $2,400 a year. Now you would take $2,400, you divide it by the entry fee, which in this case was around $45,000. I know you can't see it because my big ass head is in the way. Quick and dirty math, guys. You take your annual cash flow, which is $2,400. You divide that by your entry fee, which we're just going to say is $45,000. So doing that math in my head and not using a calculator, I get a beautiful 5.3% cash on cash return. Oh, that's actually perfect. I didn't even mean for those numbers to work so well. So now I get a 5.3% cash on cash return, which means that this deal has over a 5% cash on cash return, which means that it's great. So right off the bat, this deal would pass the rate test, right? The 5% rate test. It would pass the entry fee test, the 10% entry fee test, and it would pass the big cock, the cash on cash return test. So the only thing left, guys, that it needs to pass in order for it to be a max approved deal, guys, we need to know, does it have good instant equity? Dun, dun, dun. By the way, I totally made up that rent number, so this deal's probably hot shit. But for the sake of this video, we're gonna run with my numbers here. Now, unfortunately, Brian did not give me an address. So let's just say that the house is really worth, honestly, guys, this is a $550,000 condo, a 2-bedroom, 1-bath condo, 660 square feet for $485,000. Brian, this is in Alabama. What the fuck? Anyways, let me calm down here. Let's just assume that this deal, guys, this house is actually worth $450,000. So this house is actually worth $550,000, right? So we're gonna want to know what the instant equity is. So what we're gonna do, guys, we will take $550,000 is what we think fair market value is. We're gonna subtract it by the purchase price, which let's just say, what was it, like 485,000? I don't know, close enough. Guys, that gives us $65,000 of equity. So then we're gonna take $65,000 of equity, and then you're gonna divide it by the value of the house. Doing that math in my head, we would get an instant equity of 11.81%. 12% instant equity. So if we actually had this exact deal, guys, it would also check off the equity check box. Check. Meaning that this deal, guys, would be max approved. But more importantly, y'all, and it would beat the 5-5-10-10 rule. This deal would be a buy. You should buy this deal. Except that it has a 5-year balloon. Oh my God, a 5-year balloon. The one caveat I want to add to this video is that if a deal has a balloon, you have to take it for what it is. Like, I hate balloons. And if you don't know what a balloon is, a balloon means that you have to pay off the entire mortgage to either the bank or to the seller within that, by the time that balloon pops. So in this case, it'd be a 5-year balloon, meaning you have to pay like $450,000 in 5 years, which is just ridiculous. I hate balloons. Personally, I don't look at deals with less than a 10-year balloon unless I'm flipping it. So anyways, make sure you always look at balloons. But guys, that is the 5-5-10-10 rule. And when you get good at it, you'll be able to evaluate a deal in 60 seconds. I said you could do it in 60 seconds, and I promise you, you can. Don't believe me? Literally one of my favorite hobbies is to go into this group and just look at deals and then like in 10 seconds know if they're a good deal or a bad deal. You know what? Here, I'll do one for you guys. It's actually really fun. Okay, here we have a house in Pensacola, Florida. It has an interest rate of 4.25%. Check. It has an entry fee of $31,000, but a purchase price of $200,000. Not check. This is too high. That's around 15%. Your total monthly payment is around $1,200, and it says it would rent for $1,615 as a long-term rental. This number is probably high. This number is probably low. I would give that a it's probably not enough cash-on-cash return, assuming the entry fee is high, but it's not terrible. It's not the worst I've ever seen. The last thing you would want to do is figure out what the instant equity is. Unfortunately, I don't know this market well enough to just see this house and know what it's worth. If this was in Dallas, Texas, I could tell you what this house was worth without even comping it. In this case, you'd have to comp it, which may take, a couple minutes. But it's just, I just have a gut feeling that it's a little expensive. Just a little expensive because I do this a lot. So that was probably less than 60 seconds. And my takeaway from this one is that the interest rate's not bad. The entry fee is too high. The cash on cash return's not enough for me. And the property is probably a little expensive. And that is how you use the 5-5-10-10 rule. Well, guys, this was my first video in my brand new $10,000 studio. $10,000 makes me want to just smash this glass over my head. I can't believe I spent that, but I spent it, guys, because YouTube is my passion and YouTube has changed my life. I'm at almost 2,500 subscribers and I couldn't do it without you. After I met with Pace Morby in person, I saw his studio and I realized I was not investing in myself. I was just being too cheap. I was doing YouTube on a $500 camera when, frankly, this is my business. So I spent the money I invested in myself. And just my one word of advice to y'all, when you're looking at these creative finance deals, when you're trying to wholesale real estate, when you're trying to be a lender, when you're just trying to be an investor, invest in yourself. Stop penny pinching. It's not worth it. Spend the money, buy the software. Spend the money, hire a VA. Spend the money and join that course, whoever's course that you're looking to join. It's worth it, guys. Invest in yourself. Now do it intelligently. Don't go pissing away your money, but just invest in yourself, y'all. With that being said, I hope you enjoyed this video. Please, please, please share it with somebody. I would love for Pace Morby to watch this video. I should probably send this to Pace. Guys, send this video to a friend. It helps this channel out so much. And hey, if you want to learn how to do this, if you want to learn how to wholesale real estate and make life-changing money and quit your 9-to-5, guys, join the Wholesalers. The link is in the description down below. It's free. Literally join the Discord community. I love y'all so much. Tell me in the comments down below what video you want me to do next, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye, everyone.